Welcome, everybody, to Bible Bites. I'm Pastor Dan. We're reading through the Bible one small bite at a time. If you haven't seen our previous few videos, you're going to want to watch those. They will help you understand what we're about to read today. We are in Matthew chapter 24, and we're reading in verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Jesus had talked previously about this tribulation, this great tribulation. I do think very much of it's focused on AD 70 when there was a persecution of the Jews. The temple was destroyed, and the Jews faced a very different day from what they had known previous, where they had some self-rule in Rome, uh, but things were changing very much for them. They were about to become very persecuted, and really they have been since then, all throughout history, even modern history. So it does have that in mind, and I think it does have this focus of, again, Jewishness, and I say again because I talked about that last video, where the Jews are a very persecuted people group. However, this also extends to the church in general, all those who trust in Jesus Christ, because from the apostles onward, and I'm sure even into the future, there is going to be persecution of those who trust in Jesus. We don't see it very much in the West, at least not a very physical persecution, but in other parts of this world, you really do take your life in your own hands when you trust in Jesus Christ. Well, you don't take it in your own hand, you put your life in the hands of Jesus, right? But you understand what I'm saying. There's persecutions there. Jesus is saying after those days, right? And we don't know how long those days will extend, how long this tribulation will extend. But there's going to be some very literal physical things that are going to take place. The sun's going to be darkened, the moon will not give its light, stars are going to fall from heaven, the powers of heavens will be shaken. The power of heavens I take to be authorities in spiritual places. Those authorities, they're going to be shaken. There's going to be some disruption. There's going to be changes there. Some people very much do see these things as symbolic. It's possible. I take them literally, but there very well may be some symbolism involved here. But I don't think we should just dismiss a literal understanding completely, even if you see some symbolism in this or understand it to be symbolic in some ways. Verse 30, then there will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man. So there it is. That was one of the questions the apostles had asked Jesus, his messengers had asked him right at the beginning. I think it was the first video in chapter 24 that we looked at. And so he's saying, okay, then this tribulation, and after this, then there's going to be a sign of the coming of the Son of Man, the coming of Jesus Christ, his second coming. And all the tribes of the earth will mourn. Why will they mourn? Because the judgment of Jesus Christ is now at hand. It's not that Jesus hasn't been judging at all, but there's a very real judgment. The end of things is about to occur, is occurring at this point then. And so those who didn't trust in him, those who rejected him, denied him, they're going to face that judgment. And it says, they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and glory. This is one part where I actually do think there may be some symbolism here. But again, this could be very literal, and I don't dismiss a literal interpretation. But coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, I think has a lot to do with this idea of power and great glory. Like it's a symbolism of God's glory, of his power, of his dominion. But he's going to come, I think, in a very visible way, just like the disciples seen him leave, which they saw him ascend into heaven, like being carried up into the clouds. So I do think that's actually literal as well there. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So indeed, there is going to be God calling his family home to be with him. Some people, I think, use the word rapture to refer to this, uh, and that's fine. But the idea here is that God is taking home those that are still alive on earth, still have physical bodies. He's bringing them home now to be with Him and collecting them from all the parts of this world. So, well, let's go ahead and stop there, and we'll pick up verse 32 next time. But until then, be blessed.